All right, let's move on over to the AFC East. And for this one, we have a very special guest. Fun fact, George, during COVID, had her on the pod way back in the day.
In person?
No, you couldn't.
It was during COVID.
I was just seeing how serious you guys were about the content.
It was good. We had a really good conversation. This was way before she's blown up on the sports betting scene, currently on UFC, seen on Fight Pass, seen on ESPN, the one and only Minty Bets in the building.
Yay!
There we go, Minty.
I am so glad we finally get to do this. I think it's been years and it's long overdue. I mean, I remember you were one of the first podcasts that I went on in 2019, 2020.
Yeah.
And yeah, I remember like our podcast episode was like probably 2 hours long. I don't know how much you edited out of it, but like we had a lot of conversations in the podcast. So it was really good. And finally, I can't believe we're finally meeting. But you've moved to Vegas and you've lived in Vegas for how many years now?
2 years.
2 years. And this is the first time we're meeting in person.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Insanity.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we got to do it.
Yes. Thanks for having me on.
I'm very happy for your success because I remember you had like 9,000 followers when we connected and you were shooting the videos in your car.
Yeah. In my backyard and stuff.
Yeah, baseball pics and shit. And it's dope because I think that's also a testament for you and for people watching this and hearing this. It's like, yo, this takes time.
It does.
And now they see you on ESPN and you're covering all this stuff. So I'm super happy for you. Thanks again for coming in. This was a division I asked you. I just told you, what division are you like the most intrigued by? You know, as we were putting together this show. And you're like, yeah, I kind of like the AFC East. And I was like, awesome, because my Super Bowl champ is in this division.
Ooh la la.
And should we start with that? Should we just go crazy right away?
Yeah. Come on, pop up.
The New York Jets are winning the Super Bowl, ladies and gentlemen. They are. My boss is in the building right now. He's holding his head.
He's like, don't jinx it.
Every Jets fan I know, all my buddies, the majority of my friends back home, Minty, they're all Jets fans.
Oh, really?
There's not many Giants fans.
Because you're from New York, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But like my friend group, it's all Jet fans, and then like 3 of us are Giant fans, and then everyone else like roots for like other teams. It's so random. But I love the Jets this year. Look, I think, hot take, I think they have a top 10 offense and defensive line. They get Moses from Baltimore. They get Tyron Smith. So now they have top 10 graded PFF tackles. They get Vera Tucker back. 4th easiest schedule in the NFL. Their coaching sucks. I'm not the biggest fan of the coaching. I feel like if they had a better head coach, I think he's great as a coordinator. And I got this thing, Minty, and I would love to get your thoughts on this. Do you feel like some guys are just better as coordinators than they are head coaches?
Absolutely. Couldn't name you an example off the top of my head, but absolutely. I think that certain people perform better in different areas. And, like, I don't know, in life, we just always have a plan, like a path that we want to life and a career path that we want. And sometimes we don't succeed at it, but we find that we're good at other things or way better at other things. So yeah, I agree with you.
And that's what I think of Saleh. I think he's an amazing defensive coordinator, what he was doing with San Fran. And I mean, what he does with this defense too, George. I think it's amazing. I always think of it like, yo, when I'm making a bet, who's the quarterback and the head coach I got to go up against? It's like, all right, Rodgers is good.
Yeah.
But the head coach, kind of a little bit of a drop off, right? At least for me. Hackett also, I know he's boys with Rodgers, but I'm not the biggest fan of that. Last place schedule.
Yes.
I do like that. Also a pretty wacky schedule. They play 6 primetime games in the first 11 weeks. They have a London game. And they're playing 3 games in 10 days. That Achilles is going to get tested. And it's going to get tested right away week 1. Hot take. I know saying the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl is a big hot take. If they beat the Niners week 1, at worst, they'll be 10-1 going into the bye week.
I actually have that exactly.
And
Who do you have them losing to?
I'm going to do a challenge of, when you see on social media, people do all these like betting challenges, Minty,
yes,
and they try to get to like 10K or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm going to just roll it over. I'm going to money line the Jets week 1. If they beat the Niners, roll it over to at Titans. I already said they're a 3-win team. Then they play the Pats on Thursday night. They play them at home. It's the home opener for the Jets. Then they play Zach Wilson and the Broncos.
Ooh.
Then they play Minnesota going up against Darnold. So they get back-to-back ex-Jets.
Yeah.
They play the Bills at home. It's a primetime game. Then they play at Pittsburgh, at New England. If they could get past, I think the biggest game on their schedule there might be the Pittsburgh game.
That's one that I have.
That's the one where it could be just a little wacky.
Yep.
But and before their bye week, which is the first week in November, they close out with the Texans at home. Remember, they beat the Texans last year. They knocked out CJ Stroud in that game. He got concussed. But Minty, I'm looking at they could be like 9-2 going into the bye week. And New York is gonna burn down in like a positive way.
Yeah, in a positive way. Yeah, I mean, of course, the safest factor on this team is Aaron Rodgers, and will we see him play a full season? I think we will. Like, we know what he's capable of, even though he's pushing 41 here, but he's still the king of Hail Marys to me, you know? The Jets have suffered 13 straight seasons without making it to the playoffs, and I know a lot of people like yourself have very high hopes for this team, and on paper, I think they're phenomenal. Like, I mean, I get it. On top of that, Aaron Rodgers has a great young group to rely on. I mean, he's got Breece Hall, Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, and this defense is elite. You also mentioned that the schedule is relatively easy. I mean, if they don't at least finish above 500, I would be shocked. So I think they're the favorites to win the division, right? Plus 165 or so.
They became the favorite, yeah.
I just wish there was a little more value on it. I mean, plus money is great, but like I wish there were like 2-1 underdogs or so. I mean, like I would love to bet on them to win the division, and I think that might be the best bet. And I think their win total is what, 10.5, 9.5?
Their win total is
I think if it's 10.5, it's like
9.5.
9.5.
Yeah,
that's not bad. Because if you want plus money, I think it would be 10.5. But I think 9.5 might be a safer bet. I really do like the Jets, actually. Once I went over every team in this division, I got really, really excited about the Jets. But it's just that they're still a little unproven, you know? And that's why I'm kind of hesitant to put money on them.
for sure. And it's also a 41-year-old Achilles.
Exactly.
We got a factor. You know what we really need, bro?
What?
We need Rodgers to like get ass if the world is flat. Like, we need like ivermectin Rodgers to come out and just go crazy. That's how we know he's back.
Yeah.
We need like a Joe Rogan pod within the next 2 weeks. Just light Twitter on fire. I'm like, yo, Rodgers is back. We're good. We're here. That's what we need.
I like that he's been a little quiet. I like that he's been away from social media and just media in general. You know, he hasn't been going on the Pat
McAfee.
Yeah,
right?
no, he hasn't.
Good.
Yeah.
I think he needs to stay away from the
burnt
public
out too. I mean, shit, they had that dude on. I was watching it religiously for a while there because you're like, let me just get this update and see how Aaron's doing. And then once the season ended with the Achilles,
No,
you're
that could
kind
be a
of
good
over
point
it.
too, that he's not doing all this stuff. So maybe could be.
Yeah.
I'm just a fan of chaos.
Oh, yes.
So I like when like Twitter goes on fire over things.
I definitely love being in the, in the stands for drama on social media. I don't like to be part of it, but I love seeing it unravel.
Yeah,
so
for sure. So
I'm with you.
maybe that could be it. But yo, I think look, man, I know it sounds crazy because it's the Jets and same old Jets. They're 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. The odds are right, as opposed to last year, they were 12-1 to win the Super Bowl, and I thought that was crazy. You were paying the Rodgers tax. You were paying. They were on Hard Knocks, right?
Yeah.
They were on Hard Knocks.
Yes.
So last year wasn't the year to bet them. And you know this being in the betting space, people have PTSD from, I'm never betting this fighter again. I lose every time I bet him. And then the next time it's like, well, you should bet him this time, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about the Jets. This is the year to bet the Jets. To your point about their division odds, I was talking about them around free agency. Like, yo, they're going to win the division. Worst to first. 19 of the last 21 seasons, you've had a team go worst to first. There's a bunch of different candidates. Like Cincy, I think, is the most popular pick.
Mm-hmm.
But the Jets fit this mold too. And I also think psychologically, all the players now, they're not going to have the shit they've had at quarterback the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean,
it's been bad.
You couldn't rely on Zach Wilson or, Sam
Mike
Darnold.
White.
Yeah, Mike White. I can't even name anyone else other than Zach Wilson.
It's just
of mediocrity.
Psychologically, the players are like, yo, we got him. It's different.
That's the best part about the Jets.
So I'm all in on.
I have high hopes
Green.
for them.
Do you think he's MVP level, or do you think this is a refined Rodgers where Breece Hall takes a majority of the load? Because that's the way I envision it.
I think what Minty said was exactly it. He has a young team around him, and he has guys that could
pop off.
Yeah, and he has a defense now that they're like, yo, bro, you know what? Don't have us start on our 4-yard line like Zach Wilson would. Like no red zone turnovers, and we'll be good.
Yeah.
Like, can you get us to 20 points? Get us to 20 points. We don't need you to be MVP. You could be like Peyton with Denver, right?
Exactly.
Sort of. I know Peyton had that one year where he threw like 50-something touchdowns, but Rodgers, just be competent. He already doesn't turn the ball over. To your point, I agree with you.
He's the old school quarterback that we love, and he's one of few left, honestly. I mean, we're seeing all these new young quarterbacks that are supposed to be mobile and very dynamic and do everything, but Aaron Rodgers is him. He's iconic. He's a legend. So, yeah, he's got that and the supporting cast, stingy defense. Absolutely love the Jets.
Yeah, Joe Flacco would be the only comparison that you can make to like that last era.
Yeah.
Like as soon as Flacco and Rodgers are gone, like you are fully taken off the layer of the Brady's, the Manning. It is.
Because there's no quarterbacks like that now.
You're right.
Now, if you can't run, you're not going to get an opportunity to. And why would you? Right?
That's true.
I think now that's just how the game is.
The game is evolving.
Yeah, for sure. Totally. Yeah. You didn't really say much about the Jets. So do you just agree?
I mean, you guys are echoing exactly the way that everybody should feel about this team. That the only thing I wanted to make sure you guys knew about me is that I think Breece Hall has a damn near close to offensive player of the year type of explosion.
Yes.
A lot of things open up when Rodgers is at the helm, and Rodgers also knows that a lot of things open up for him once the run game is established. I think the defense should be number one in the league. Like I think they are one of the best defensive lines that I've seen in a while. And yeah, why not the Jets? And a very competitive division. I think this AFC East is the most competitive division. 3-team race. The Patriots can have fun in the sandbox to the side, but
they had their fun. Yeah.
They had their fun. And now
I don't want to hear nothing. If you're from Boston or New England, I don't want to hear a peep.
Yeah, I think AFC East, AFC North are two very, very tricky divisions to kind of pick apart and find a winner in because there's so many good teams.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So Jets for everyone to win the division?
Jets for everyone.
Okay. The team with the highest win total, however, 15-1 odds to win the Super Bowl, 10.5 wins, the Buffalo Bills. My pick to win MVP is Josh Allen.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had Mahomes when he won it 2 years ago, and the parallels between him and Allen this year, it's sickening how like close they are.
Similar, yeah.
Because Mahomes loses Tyreek Hill, and what's the conversation? Oh, he lost his number one receiver. He ain't gonna do nothing. And then he goes out there and wins MVP.
Yeah.
Diggs, big name on paper, and I think it was a great move for him to leave Buffalo and to go to Houston. I think both could be true. Like it was a dope move for all parties involved. But dude didn't have a 100-yard game for like 14 straight weeks. And I just think it ran its course. Now he's on his third team in 5 years. And it's great for Diggs. I think it's a good landing spot. But the reason why I like Allen, and this is kind of the play that I'm making, Minty, and I'm curious, you being in the betting space, if this is something you do. It's kind of a hedge. I'm betting him to win MVP at 10-1.
Right.
But I also like their under.
Ooh.
Like I don't have them making the playoffs.
I don't have them making the playoffs either, but I love the Buffalo Bills. I love Josh Allen. I absolutely think he is MVP caliber and MVP worthy. However, again, I kind of said this with the Jets, even though I like the Jets, this is a really unproven team. This is like a team in a rejuvenation stage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they lost pieces in their secondary, they lost pieces in their receiving core, and they got worse, but they're still one of the favorites to win the division. So I am a little confused. But I believe they are one of the favorites to win the division because Josh Allen is so good. I mean, obviously his numbers improved significantly with a great receiver like Stephon Diggs. And I think with a little work, they can absolutely win the Super Bowl. But I don't know, how many more years is Josh Allen going to be in his prime like he is now? And like, how long does he have to wait for the right pieces,
Yeah.
And, their playoff woes, it's heartbreaking. Like, I've backed the Bills every single year, and I think I'm done this year. Like, I had them winning the Super Bowl 3 years in a row, and just like, I don't know. I just can't trust them.
Last year we took them at, what was it, 60-1? Like,
Yeah.
around week
Holy
10,
cow.
11.
Right when they were being like on the come up.
Yeah, we caught them at
Mm.
that wave, and because I went to school in Buffalo, so like I
Oh.
have a soft spot for the 716 up in nearby Niagara Falls, and it was just like looking at their path. You're looking at the schedule, and you're like, well, if they could get past this game, comes down to that Miami game,
Mm-hmm.
and we're 60-1, 50-1, like around there. And again, yeah, the playoff woes. But I think Josh Allen, he's gonna have, if he stays healthy, because if he doesn't, then everything we just discussed is out the window.
Yeah.
But a lot of turnover in the secondary. They replaced both safeties. Tre'Davious White is no longer there. I just think Allen is gonna remind a lot of people. Not that people have forgot, but like, oh, we lost Diggs. It's okay. We got this. We got Coleman coming out. Who, if that kid could be any good, this dude's the next like mega star in the NFL because he's a personality. He's fun. He plays a premium position too. So my hedge is Bills not to make the playoffs, but Josh Allen to win MVP. Because
Wow.
I think if they do anything, he has like 30 passing touchdowns, 15 on the ground.
Right.
Kind of Cam Newton type year.
It's definitely possible. I mean, they have quite a gauntlet at the beginning of the season. I think that is 4 primetime games in the first 6 weeks.
Wow.
And it's Miami, Jacksonville, Baltimore, Houston, and then the Jets. Like
Those are amazing games.
I mean, you start off with a lollipop in the Arizona Cardinals. Should definitely take care of business there.
Mhm.
But beyond that, this team to me found a rhythm in the run game last year, and they need to continue to do that. If James Cook performs extremely well, this team will play at the level that gets them to a playoff spot. If they cannot run the ball and they have to rely on Josh Allen to throw it 40 times a game, I don't think that's a winning recipe anymore. I don't think he's as good of a passing quarterback as that type of offensive style requires. I think Aaron Rodgers fits that mold better. And that's why when Aaron Rodgers throws it 45 times a game, we're not freaking out. When Josh Allen does it and he throws 2 to 3 interceptions on top of that, I'm like, damn, Bills, what are we doing?
Yeah.
I think they've learned though. Like that is a big thing that I think Sean McDermott is like, we cannot have this happen year after year after year. Their secondary though, trash. Like DeMar Hamlin, how much longer are we gonna stay on this? Like, I mean, you're back.
Yeah.
You got to play good football.
Yeah.
He doesn't play good football. Their secondary as a whole doesn't play good, but him
Right.
especially, it's a whole.
Yeah, it's weird, man. Like they've gotten nothing out of Von Miller. And that contract is, I mean, it's off the books this year, but that was a nightmare.
It's a very lackluster team.
Yeah.
And, they changed offensive coordinators, right? To Joe Brady. He's very run heavy offense. This passing offense is going to struggle. And their defense isn't going to be as stingy. Their schedule is also a little difficult. You mentioned they have to primetime games against Jacksonville. Got Baltimore, KC, bye in week 11, San Francisco, Rams, Detroit. Like, this is a really tough schedule. So I absolutely, especially that it's plus money for them not to make the playoffs, love it.
I want to defend. I agree with you. The schedule is daunting. He's my number 1 pick for a guy to be guaranteed to have a good game. Like,
Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He name a bad game he's had in a bad spot.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't. It's been his team that has let him down. But the game in the rain against the Eagles, right? He balled out. Obviously the iconic game that they lost with 13 seconds. But he's a dude that in a big spot, man, it's him and Mahomes, like honestly neck and neck. Where I know they're not gonna have a Lamar AFC title performance. They're not gonna be like Dak against the Packers. Like I know for a fact these dudes are showing, and I think it's just them two. Like those two guys, man, if you really look at their resume in big games, not that they always win them. Mahomes does for the most part.
Yeah.
But but it's like, man, you look at it, it's 320 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Insane.
Right? So him going up against that daunting schedule,
I think
feel
he could do it.
confident.
I
Yeah.
don't know if his supporting cast could.
Absolutely.
You don't have to defend Josh Allen with me. I love Josh
Yeah.
Allen, but I can't put money down on them to advance into the postseason, you know?
Agreed.
How do you
Yeah.
feel about Miami?
I love Miami. I'm really like, my brain is racking here because they're a phenomenal team on paper. We know that. I mean, Tua finally played a full healthy season, right? And he's got so many reliable weapons around him. This offense is stacked with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Ray Moster, and you know, but they struggled. Let's see, they struggled against playoff caliber teams, right? They lost against Buffalo, Philly, KC, and Baltimore. And then they squeezed out a win over Dallas by 2 points. So I think that part, I get why maybe they're like
Right.
the third favorites to win the division. But I really love them, and I'm really tempted to bet on them to win the division at plus 205. And I know you won't like that, but yeah.
No, I'm liking that.
Oh, they remind me. So when they played the Cowboys last year, Minty, we were calling it the Spider-Man Bowl.
Okay.
Because like the Spider-Man meme where they're
pointing at each
because
other.
both Dallas and Miami, they won one game against playoff teams, and it was when they played each other. Like
Yeah.
they did very bad last year in big games. Look, they're a team that when I think of Miami, I think of regular season. They're the AFC version of the Cowboys. I think they'll put up big games. They'll have a 50-point explosion on someone.
Yeah.
They'll average 32 points a game.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be great September to December.
Right.
And if they got to go to Cincinnati, they got to go to Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
They got to go to, like
Green
they
Bay?
did, like they did to. No, I'm talking about AFC like playoffs. They got to go to Kansas City. You saw how bad it was. It looked terrible.
Terrible. They blew out subpar teams,
Right.
and they struggled against really good teams. But this year, they don't really have that tough of a schedule. They don't have to face KC, Baltimore, Philly, or Dallas. They see San Francisco once, and then at the end of the season, they see Cleveland and Houston, which defensively, I mean, we'll that's a test for them. But why wouldn't you bet on them to win the division if their schedule is relatively easy, if they've already got a groove going and they've proven themselves last season in a way?
Yeah.
Yeah, for the division, I'm not opposed to that. I think anything after division, like conference and Super Bowl, I'd be very opposed just because you need them to be the 1 seed.
Yeah.
If you think they could get the 1 seed, I'm all for you being like, I'm going to take them 25-1 to win the Super Bowl, 13-1 to win the AFC. Sure, if you think they could be the 1 seed. But if you think they're just going to win the division and then they got to play those teams, no. Because if it's 80 degrees in January, I like them against anybody. They could beat anybody. But when they got to go into those cold elements,
snowy,
that's where I'm worried about them. So I think they're a 10-win team, 9 to 10 win team every year with that regime of McDaniel and Tua and the weapons that they have. They're a finesse team, and that only gets you so far.
What are our thoughts on Mike McDaniel's hair? Curls?
He's letting the flow
He's
grow.
letting Miami get to him.
He's embracing Miami.
He's so cool. He's one of my favorite coaches. I think he is probably, I would say, next to Dan Campbell, like the new wave of coaches that have really like cemented, I am a staple of what this franchise is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the Dolphins will ever be able to move on to a coach that doesn't have that South Beach swagger.
A personality, yeah.
Lions will never be able to have a coach that doesn't want players to bite kneecaps off.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I think it's just a big cultural play. They both fit. I think one of the biggest things that the Dolphins have, and they've had for the past 3 years, is when you have the fastest team in the NFL, that gets you 10 wins. Period. You're going to put up a lot of points, especially when you know how to use them correctly. And they have 3 of the fastest players in the league. Period. I mean, they put the little speedometer on them or whatever, and you know that you're gonna get big time production out of Tyreek Hill. And up until what was it, week 16 last year, where we're like, is Tyreek winning this shit? Like,
yeah, it was a
him,
conversation
Christian
about
McCaffrey, and 5 quarterbacks.
Yeah, he might have been MVP at one point.
It was
That was a
late in the
combo.
year.
Yeah,
Probably
yeah.
wasn't week 16. It was probably. I think he had some injury issues
Like
towards the
around
end of the year.
Thanksgiving, I remember that
Yeah.
being a combo
Mhm.
because we felt good about it because we had McCaffrey to win Offensive Player of the
We're
Year.
like, if there's two of them, then that'll make the MVP bettors be like, oh, you know what? Maybe this is a year that we give it to a non-quarterback. Psych. That did not happen, Minty.
Yeah,
I got Miami in the playoffs. They're one of my wild card teams.
I like it.
And
I like it.
probably
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna. Yeah, playoffs. I mean, that's it.
that's their ceiling.
Yeah.
And you know, with Tua and Dak, right? It was so interesting because we've been talking about this since last year. How that got to be the worst situation you could be as a team. Like it's a blessing and a curse because you have a franchise quarterback, you give him $250 million, but then you know what the ceiling is.
Mm-hmm.
It's a divisional round. You need and in Dallas's case, I know we're kind of going back to the NFC East, but Dallas had the home field advantage,
Mm-hmm.
and they still didn't get it done. So that's why Dak now is having all the question marks and all the issues that they're having in Dallas. And I just feel the same way about Tua. Like it's dope until it's January.
Yeah.
And for me, Minty, I'm someone, we were talking about the Giants before. If you're 1-8 around Halloween, I want you to finish 2-15.
Yeah.
I don't want you to draft 13th in the draft.
Yeah.
No, I want you to suck or we win a championship or at least be good enough to win
Exactly.
a title. And Miami's just always going to pick like 18th overall.
Yeah.
With this team.
No, it's true. It's true.
New England.
Yeah. Oh, hot take time.
Ooh, let's hear it.
4.5 win total, lowest in the NFL. A long way from being the favorite all those years. The worst odds to win the Super Bowl at 300 to 1.
Crazy.
My notes are I'm good on them. They had their fun.
Yeah.
Worst skill position players in the league.
Hands down.
I don't like Drake May because I don't like quarterbacks from basketball programs.
Mm.
I firsthand got to experience a Duke quarterback with the Giants, and that hasn't worked out well with
Still
Daniel
experience.
Jones. And I said, F Boston, you had your fun.
Yeah, dude. I don't know how to. Christian Gonzalez, stud,
Yeah.
stud.
Yo,
Hey,
Colombian.
make the
I'm
best.
not Colombian, but
I thought you were when you said that.
Colombian.
You're like, represent.
Yeah, I'm representing now.
You got to make the worst out of a bad situation here, kid. You could shine, right? Like you could be setting yourself up here on this really, really bad team that you can get paid big time money later on. That's it. This is the only team when I graded them out at positions that had multiple D's.
Mm.
Wow.
The only team, or I'm just like, I legitimately can't give you at least a C- on these. And starting with the offensive line, it's like, have fun trying to get the ball out. Drake May, Joe Milton, the schedule for them, just being in that division alone is not favorable. I do have them squeaking out a couple of wins, maybe against the Jaguars week 7. But I think it's very well that they could start off like 0-6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
no doubt.
they were the golden standard, right, for years and years and years, and now it's the empire has fallen. And I think a lot of people, other than New England fans, are very happy to see that. I'm pretty much copying pasting everything that you just said, George, because I only have like 4 bullet points on them, and their O-line's awful. Schedule is incredibly tough. Cincy, Jets, San Francisco, Houston. I mean, come on, like it's insane. Wouldn't put money on them, but love the under 4.5 plus 110. And you're right. I think they could squeak out a couple wins. I think they could be, really
Overlooked.
surprising upsets.
Yeah, they'll be overlooked.
They will be overlooked in one of the
yeah.
games. Whatever game they are the hugest dog, I think I'm going to bet on them just because you never know in the NFL.
I love the Bengals. I love the Pats 9 plus 9 against the Bengals week 1.
Ooh.
I like that.
Joe Burrow 0-4 against the spread in week 1s in his career.
Really?
They last year they started 0-2. The year before they started 0-2. They're just slow starters coming out the gates, and I just think, they got Christian Gonzalez last year. He not shut down, but he held Tyreek Hill to like.
Shut down is
Well,
great.
no,
yeah.
but he held in
8 for
comparison
80.
when he had like
8 for 80. Yeah, that's shutting down
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, bro. It's true.
So they could do some things, man. And I just think that the conversation around them it's so bad, like we've been saying, I could just see Cincinnati like squeaking out a field goal win, and then they're like, "Oh, I can't believe."
They tend to play really close games.
Yeah,
I feel.
and especially early on in the year.
Yeah,
like this would be the best time to play a Bengals.
Yeah, they're
and,
pretty sloppy in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
So
9
I
points,
actually
I'm
really
just-
like that. That's a huge spread. It
Yeah.
could get to double digits. I
it's
feel.
the biggest dog in week 1 right now.
Interesting.
Yeah, so just interesting. I don't think they're gonna win outright. They will be like 92% entered the Bengals in like circa.
Yeah.
That everyone's gonna have them.
And their Survivor.
Yeah, circa Survivor for sure.
Mhm.
So yeah, New England. I mean, I got them at 2-15. I got Miami at 10-7, Buffalo at 10-7, and I got the Jets at 12-5.
Ooh. Do we think New England has the fewest wins? Plus 320? I mean, who else is worse than them?
The Panthers.
Yeah.
My division winner?
Yeah, I know, bro. I mean, it's
I like the Panthers to win the division.
Really? Everyone's high on the Falcons, but I think I'm with the Bucks here.
Maybe
I
the
like the Bucks.
Bucks?
Yeah. I think they're being overlooked. Everyone's high on the Falcons. The Saints, they're okay. But
yeah.
I like the Bucks.
Hopefully,
How do you have this division playing out? What's the order?
AFC East. Jets, Dolphins, Bills,
Pats.
Thank
And
you.
you?
I got Jets 13-4, Bills 12-5, Dolphins 11-6, and Patriots 4-13. Every time that I
Damn.
see a team from the AFC East playing anybody from the NFC, I'm going to hammer them.
Huh.
Period.
Minty, before we let you go and we continue the show, I want to say thank you again for
Thank you
stopping
for
by.
having me.
It was nice to have you on.
The studio is awesome. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, I know. This is brand new to us, too. Just like it's brand new to you right now. This is
Beautiful.
First day.
Love it.
Give out your social media where people can find you.
Yeah, you guys find me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Minty Bets. You can also find my UFC picks for pay-per-view fights on UFC Fight Pass's On the Line betting show. And for UFC Fight Nights taking place at the Apex, I will be on the live broadcast giving out my picks in between the fights. So check that out at Minty Bets.